Hi, and welcome everybody to Jmore's JBiz Entrepreneur Series. I'm Gary Stein. This is Justin Baer from Collars & Co. You know that already. And we're going to talk about Justin's story, and it is a great story indeed. We had a chance to warm up a little bit, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. I do want to thank a couple of sponsors, though, before we start, and that would be the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program. It's a program for small businesses that links learning to action. The program was devised over 15 years ago and brought to the Maryland area over 5 years ago by a consortium of colleges, including CCBC, Morgan State, Johns Hopkins, and Bloomberg. In that time, over 500 regional business owners have graduated from the program, impacting the economy with scaled growth, apprenticeship opportunities, scores of new jobs created, and millions of dollars added to our economy. And it is free. So just wanted to thank them for being our sponsor here tonight. We're also sponsored by the law offices of Nemphos Braue. We're in their beautiful offices right now. Nemphos Braue's attorneys are accomplished in all areas of corporate law. They offer big firm experience with boutique service. They focus on being strategic business partners with their clients. From venture capital, private equity, acquisitions, general corporate counsel, Nemphos Braue is a different kind of law firm supporting entrepreneurs, emerging and mature companies. NemphosBraue.com is how you find out about Nemphos Braue. Tonight our guest is Justin Baer. More than 70 million Americans have a side hustle. Justin Baer was one of them. The average side hustle income is $483 per month. In fact, 56% of side hustlers make less than $500 per month, and only 15% earn over $1,500 per month. Justin Baer figured out a way to turn that into a menswear business that at this point, since 2021, if I'm not mistaken, has grossed north of $14.5 million, and we are here to find out how Justin Baer did that. So, Justin Baer, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Collars & Co. is the name of the company. Everybody, I'm sure, knows about your appearance on Shark Tank, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into the business and the Shark Tank and the TikTok video and everything that happened, take us back maybe 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. And who are you? What's your background? A Baltimore question. Where'd you go to high school?
Exactly.
Right? And tell us how you started.
So, from Pikesville, went to Beth Tfiloh all my life, K through 12. And just as a kid, I've always been an entrepreneur, always coming up with ideas. I mean, people see, I've had a couple businesses that did decent. They don't see the 50 that I tried that didn't do well, or that I tried and just kind of stopped because I wasn't getting traction. But always as a kid, as a young guy, coming up with stuff. And this one, I actually have another business, this software business, and it was COVID. Everyone's sitting around doing nothing, and I was like, you know what? I was always itching to do this idea. I lived in New York for 12 years, and I had the look, which a lot of you guys are wearing, where you wear a sweater with a dress shirt on, and I'd wear it every single day to the office. I just found it really uncomfortable. It's kind of silly.
He looks at everybody's collar, by the way.
I do now.
Yeah.
I just found it really uncomfortable. You put it on, it's annoying to pull the sleeves down. They get bunched up. I'd get hot when really all you cared about was the collar. And I was like, you know what, maybe I can make some t-shirt with a collar on it. Turned out I was gonna make it a polo shirt, and we put this very firm collar in. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And everyone thought it was a crazy idea and a dumb idea. I mean, my wife was like, this is another idea you're doing. The last one was terrible. You lost $5,000. I'm like, you know what? I got to do this anyway.
Wait, so this is a side hustle at this point, right?
Side hustle.
So what were you doing full time?
Okay, I've had a couple different businesses. Some of them are just interesting. In college, I had something called the Cure Card. This was right when cause-related marketing came out. And remember, you used to have a little keychain, little fob at every place you went to. CVS, they'd scan it. They'd scan it. Right, Harris Teeter's. I was like, let me create one fob, one card, and it will share the data across multiple different non-competing retailers. Anyway, we ended up creating a cause to it. We gave 50% of the proceeds. You could buy the card for $25. 50% went to Evelyn Lauder's Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And we just, I called around, and I remember I called my dad and I said, Dad, Evelyn Lauder's Breast Cancer Research Foundation wants me to come in and pitch them. Can you fly up here? I went to NYU.
Gotcha.
He flew up. We went into their office. I don't know. We just said, look, this is my idea. They're like, great, we love it. I'm like, okay, well, we went out and got retailers and ended up having like 1,000 doors. Long story short, it's raised over $2.5 million for Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
Congratulations, that is awesome.
But this is the first thing, and we
Right.
ended up doing something else. And I have this latest thing was, I guess before that, I had an idea for ticketless check-in. So you'd use the old days, you'd go to an event and they'd have Excel spreadsheets. You'd go into your line of like A to K and K to M and M to Z, and they'd cross your name off. So this was right when the iPad 2 came out, and I created an app where you could upload your spreadsheet and then put it on multiple devices. There's actually, if we have time, there's actually a fun way of how it got started.
Okay.
Kind of an interesting way of why networking is so important and staying in touch and just treating people right. So at the time it was an offshoot of this calendar idea. Not too important, but I dealt with a lot of event planners, totally separate. So I had this idea for this check-in app, and I was dragging my feet on it. I was using this company in India. It was just taking like 10 months. Guy calls me out of the blue. Hey, what's up? I've got an event. Do you know anybody that does ticketless check-in, iPad check-in? I was like, well, I'm coming up with one. I was like, when do you need it? They're like, in like 8 weeks. I'm like, okay, well, I think I can help you. I said, who's the client? He said, it's Google's holiday party. I said, I'll have it right away. And that was the first client we ever did. And of course, Google, it was like 2,000 people. They rented out the entire New York City Public Library, which is giant. And they wanted 10 iPads so they could have 10 people checking in at the same time. Well, I only owned one iPad. I've never used the app on multiple iPads before.
Yeah.
But we didn't have time. So we rented multiple iPads. And I remember training the volunteers there. And everyone got a code, just like you do now. It's like a boarding pass. Now everybody gets a little code. But at the time, it was like a new thing. The emails went out. I told the volunteers, I said, look, I don't care if the thing beeps or not beeps. You scan it and you say, welcome, right? Like
Whoever
welcome
shows
to
up.
our event, yeah. They don't need to see if it doesn't work. You just go beep. I want you to hold the thing, the camera over the little thing and go beep, and then say, welcome in, have a great time. And it worked for the most part, not great, but this is like when Wi-Fi wasn't permeating through the New York City airwaves.
Right.
This is outside, so. Anyway, it's kind of just a fun way to think about staying in touch. You never know who's going to call.
Right. So all these businesses were entrepreneurial ideas that you had, right? And they were successful, right, for the most part.
You're hearing about the successful ones, but
Right.
yes.
Okay, but there were 50 others, right?
There are some others, yeah. Some other very bad ideas.
And your wife wasn't thrilled with this one.
Well, this one, during COVID, we were just sitting around. I had a couple of different things. It was like hand sanitizer thing, and
COVID, right?
anyway, this one, I was always itching about this one, probably for a few years, several years. I was like, I really want to do this. And I made this version. It took about 6 months to find a factory, which is not easy to do, and get prototypes made. And I made a box of just white, one collar style, English spread collar, which is like your traditional, kind of like what you're wearing.
So it's a polo shirt.
Polo shirt with
With
a
a
firm collar.
firm
This is like
collar,
crazy
right.
firm.
Yep.
Even firmer than a dress shirt. We actually put like a hard piece of fabric running around. Like some people put it on, they're like, oh my God.
It's
They've
like
never felt really firm.
stiff.
Stiff.
Yeah.
So it sits up. And we got this box of like 300 shirts. And I created the website. My 7-year-old daughter stood on a chair and took pictures of me on the website. And then she's like, Dad, you got to do a TikTok video.
Right.
So I said, all right, let's do it. So we go into my closet, and I'm just holding up the phone, and I'm in there, and I'm like, guys, don't you wearing dress shirts? And I pulled out a dress shirt. I'm like, they stink. It's uncomfortable. I get hot, scratchy, Check out this dress collar polo. I showed it. Like, that was it.
So I want to make sure that we have this right. You hadn't sold one item
Nothing.
yet. Nothing.
Nothing.
You had a box of 300 shirts
Right.
that you manufactured, no sales, right? And you did the TikTok video.
TikTok video.
Your 7-year-old daughter told you to do a TikTok video.
Right.
How many takes for the TikTok video?
Not many.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
look, this is the first TikTok video
Ever.
I'm like,
Right.
well, who's gonna watch this?
Right.
It's stupid.
Okay. What happened after the TikTok video?
So we put it on, and I remember it was like a weekend, and we sat down to watch television that night, and we put the kids to bed, and I heard the Shopify has like a cha-ching on the app when
Right.
you get a sale. All of a sudden, I got a cha-ching sitting there watching Netflix, and I was like, oh my God, do you believe this? And it just started. It kept going like
It
through
just
the
kept
night.
going cha-ching.
The first month we did 40,000 in sales.
Wow.
And then I wouldn't even have like enough shirts. It was just like,
Well,
then
so
people were like,
how did you meet
where's
demand?
my shirt? And I'm like, it's coming. And it was really a crazy start.
So how did you scale up that quick to meet demand?
Well, like right away I would call, we'd, order another.
Okay.
And it just grew. And then once I did that first TikTok, I'm like, well, I got to do more. So it just kept doing more. And you start realizing the game of social media and marketing and creating videos that you think are going to work and not work. And
So at that point then, you had no manufacturing facility of your own, right?
No.
You farmed it out.
yeah, everything was
Okay, so wow, that's unbelievable. And then that was when? 2021?
That was 2 years ago, like
Okay.
pretty much 2 years ago to the date here, close to it in April. And then it started growing. We started advertising on Facebook, advertising on Instagram. Sales started rolling, and then like, well, let me do another color. And then we did blue, and then black, and then navy, and then pale pink. And now we have 130 styles.
Wow.
And 4 different collar styles. So we started with kind of like where you're wearing like an English spread. I went to like a semi-spread, which is a little bit shorter. We did a button-down collar, kind of like what you're wearing. Then we made like cutaway collar, like a very British style version, kind of like called a cutaway. And I don't even know. I think it's getting crazy.
Did you have an advisor? Like, did you have anybody to bounce things off of?
No, not really.
So it was all you?
Starting enough businesses, I felt a certain amount of momentum that I never felt before in other companies I started. I felt this like there was something, something here, and we were getting emails from customers talking about it. I'd be like, some guy's like, I threw out all my dress shirts, like this has changed the game. I've been waiting for something like this. I could just feel this momentum happening that I didn't felt before, so I felt comfortable investing more, trying more styles, trying new things, asking the customers about it. And for us, it's an ad business. You're not going to scale quickly if you're not, for us at least, D2C, making ads profitable. So that was a game too, creating ads that worked. And if you see it working, you're getting return on ad spend, then you keep pumping it.
Right. So other companies like Bombas, let's say, the sock manufacturer, Peter Millar, just untuck it, right?
Yep.
Did you ever like research them, or how did that help you? Or what?
Great question. I mean, you asked like, did I have an advisor?
Right.
I looked everything I could up about Untuck It. I listened to every podcast that the Untuck It CEO was on, and where's he advertising? And he was like, we were doing it in like airports, and at the time the airport magazine was gone, or else I would have done that. But yeah, that's really the only. Someone bought me a Ralph Lauren book. I mean, like on how he started. I'm like, I don't know. That's a little bit different back then, but that was really it.
And what was happening right before you decided that you wanted to get on Shark Tank? How did you decide that?
It wasn't really. When I made that first video, actually, a friend said, oh, this is great for Shark Tank. As you heard, I heard a lot of people, just like we've all said it to people when they're like, I came up with a better plunger.
You should do this. Right.
So it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, I thought, there's no way I'm getting on the show. I got to know somebody at Sony. This is what I thought. I'm like, do I know anybody at Sony that I could maybe, because there's no way me in 100,000 applications are going to get picked. Can I like find some network? No, didn't know anybody. So it was like 11:30 at night. I went on abc.com, just like every other, schmo out there. And I filled out the answers in like, I don't know, 20 minutes. These are some really long questions they wanted. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting on the show. I'm not going to write a whole essay, like it's my college essay out there. I'm like, I'll just see what happens. So I did that. I don't know if they asked me for a video that first hit. I don't think so. And they called back.
How
like
long
the producer,
after?
A while. It felt like a while. I have to
So you
go back to my notes. But I had probably a month.
So you had given up or no?
Yeah, I didn't. It's like buying a lottery ticket.
Right. Okay.
And they called back, and then like I was telling you before, you think like you go on the show. They're like, we picked you. I'm like, oh, that's great. We're all excited. Oh, we're going to be on Shark Tank. Then it's rounds of interviews. This is like one of 8 interviews. Every time, before they even talk to you, they're like, just because you got picked, you're not on the show. Like you're continuously being told this is not it. You're not we could cancel you at any moment, and we do all the time. You're just auditioning. And even up until shooting the show, which I was telling you is the biggest kick in the pants in the world, you can shoot the show, get a deal, and not air. And it happened to 50%. It was, I think, 8 of us, only 4 of us actually aired in my, that shot that day. It was just awful. It's just like the worst thing.
How do they determine who's going to make the air? Entertainment value, or?
Like I was saying, this is a show first, second, and third Shark Tank.
That's all it's about.
It is a show. It is about ratings. It's about making it fun, entertaining, educational. And they go in telling you that too. They want a show. They don't want just a blasé, oh, we'll offer you $10,000. Oh, thank you so much. That's not exciting. It's saying, like, are you nuts? $10,000? Now, I did think they gave me a low valuation, but they do set you up, and you do want to make sure that it's a fun and exciting show. And anyway, it ended up working out.
Right. So you were, and I'm sure people know this, you were mildly criticized, let's say that, on social media for being combative with the Sharks, right? Because you didn't like the valuation that they were putting on it. But you told me, though, that was like part of the shtick. Like they asked you to do something like that.
They do. Look, it's about a show. They want it exciting. I did think their valuation was low. But look, you're in there for over an hour. They're cutting it to like 8 minutes. And when I watched it back, I'm like, I don't think that happened at the exact same point that they're showing it. So they can dice anything they want.
Sure.
They can dice your facial expressions from 10 minutes ago to now.
Add that music to it.
Adding the deep, dark music makes it more interesting.
Right.
But it was a great show. I think Damon early on was a little bit combative. But by the end, they didn't show this, but he was like kind of back in. They don't like, but everyone was really nice. And after it wrapped, it was great. I mean, it worked out. Having Mark Cuban's awesome. And Peter Jones, who most people in America don't really know.
I think he was a guest host that day.
He's a great guest show. He's like the Mark Cuban of the British version of Shark Tank. And kind of like one of the beloved judges or sharks over there. And they've both been awesome, and crazy how fast Mark will respond. And
what kind of things do you ask him? Or does he ask of you?
Well, I sent him a review one time that, lengthy year-end review on here's what we did, here's what I'm thinking about doing next year. He wrote back very quickly. Like literally it was at 10 o'clock at night, he'd write back at 10:03, are we cash flow positive?
Okay.
Pretty, just get it right to it.
Right.
I'm like, did you read all the stuff I said are going in there? Like, we've got a store coming and we've got marketing. But no, I mean, I try not to ask too much of them. Save it for the interesting stuff. We had a meeting at Nordstrom's, and Mark did a video for me to their buyers. So be like, hey Gary, I'm Mark. I can't make it there, which is really nice. But yeah, we'll see.
How many times have you been with him, like seen him?
So we have an update actually coming out on May 5th. And so we did a Zoom call. They don't, because of COVID, they're not doing in-persons as much. So yeah, we just on Zoom, but we chat. There was I guess I can say that, well, probably. There was a talk of maybe him buying the Commanders, potentially. So I sent him right away. I'm like, Mark, we need you in DC. And he wrote back right away. I don't know if it's public what he wrote back, but he wrote me back right away, his thoughts on it. And anyway, it's cool. So he's been neat.
Right, and he's not going to get the Commanders because I think Josh Harris got him, or I'm not sure.
Is that done?
I don't know if it's done, but it looks like it's going to get done.
Okay, because he said no way.
Right. So from a dollars and cents perspective, you went on Shark Tank with about, pardon me, a little bit over $5 million worth of sales at that time.
Yeah.
What's happened since Shark Tank and the fact that you got the deal with Peter and Mark?
So yeah, we just continue to scale. I think at the time maybe we were doing 500,000 a month. Now we're doing close to 19 a month. So we're growing.
And this is since November of 22.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's 5 months.
Yeah. So we're growing fast, and we have a store potentially, or opening in June. We're going to try out.
That's your first
on
brick
Michigan
and mortar?
Avenue
Okay.
in Chicago.
Oh,
Which we'll
Miracle
try.
Mile?
Miracle Mile, which will be neat. And we're just continuing to grow. Just at the warehouse, we have pants that just dropped. We did sweaters. So the idea is we started with shirts. Let's give guys the full combo. So we have the full sweater line. We're doing pants. We've got some outerwear, belts, accessories. But the idea is to grow into like a full menswear brand.
What about women and children?
We did women's as well, actually. We started out with sleeveless. We still sell them. People have asking, can you make one with sleeves? So women's actually selling decent. We'll see how that goes. Kids, I think we're going to do a kids line for back to school, because I think all kids hate wearing a long sleeve dress shirt. And this, they can even wear a tie with it, throw a sweater over it, and they'll be happy at Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving or something. So, or school, private schools. Hanukkah dinner. Yeah, that's right, Hanukkah dinner.
Sponsorships. Nick Faldo has been a sponsor of yours. Tiki Barber has done some.
Yep.
So how did all that happen?
So Nick, his agent, reached out and said, Nick wears your shirts. Is there something you could do? Or is there something we can do together? I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And I said, well, we'd love to be able to do like a photo shoot with Nick. Would you be open to do it? He said, be willing to open and do it. I'm like, it happens to be, Nick is going to be at the TPC doing a tournament.
In DC.
In DC. Right. How about we do it when he's here? We'll bring him to my club and we'll shoot some pictures. They said, okay, we worked it out. We paid him. And they're like, I remember like a few days before, like, Nick's flying into Reagan. You think you could pick him up? I'm like, okay, I'll pick him up.
Probably.
So you went to the airport. He's in there waiting for his bag, just like everyone else. And I go in there and help him with his bag. Hi, Nick, how you doing? I was like, very well. So we drove him in. It was cool. Yeah, we did a photo shoot with him, which was really nice. And Tiki, we did ads in New York for his radio show, trying to reach like men into sports and kind of our demo. And he was a part of we did a photo shoot with him.
So so I was kidding about this before, but it may be true. Do you actually, when you're walking in the airport or just down the street or whatever, look at what people are wearing, like look at their collars?
For sure.
You really?
Well, not to just see their collar, but seeing if I can see people wearing the shirt in the wild, I call it like in the wild.
Okay.
The craziest thing was the first time I ever saw anybody wear the shirt. People would say, oh, my friend bought one, but I've never seen it, except when I went to LA for Shark Tank. I was there by myself. I pulled off at just, like Santa Monica Boulevard, and I stopped at this like falafel place. And I'm sitting there, and I see this kid walk in, and I'm like, holy crap. I think he's wearing a shirt. And I get up from my table, and I walk in like a weirdo. I'm like, where did you get that shirt? And he says, it's a Collars & Co. shirt. And I'm like, oh my God. And I said, I'm here just for Shark Tank. I got goosebumps. I said, do you mind if I take a picture with you?
Wow.
In the shirt? And he said, yeah. So I've got a picture. I'll show it to you in a minute. But that was the first time I ever saw the shirt. And now I've seen it a few times, around. But airports is a good place to catch guys in our shirt. It's kind of a good travel shirt.
Do you ever introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
You do? Okay.
All the time.
And
if I see it, I always...
What do they say?
They're always pretty kind about it. I mean, they're wearing it, so they must like it.
Right.
But yeah, it's always been good interactions. I usually snap a picture with them just for...
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Right?
Thanks
And
for
I know there's more to come. That's Justin Baer, Collars & Co.